while you both are in the flat on your own, make sure you don't, like, get your kit off, you know. Don't be swanning about in just a towel, you know, a big hunk of a man.
Right, okay, so me and Toyah have already had that chat.
Right, well, good. And I think it'd be wise if you created a bit of distance between you both, you know. Maybe be a bit off with her, you know. You don't want the situation to get messy. And whatever you do, keep little Nicky in your pants.
Little Nicky?
Talk of the street.
Talk of the street.
The talk of the street.
Talk of the street.
The talk of the street.
Talk of the street.
The talk of the street.
Talk of the street.
Hello and welcome to episode 319 of the Talk of the Street, an unofficial Coronation Street catch-up podcast that wonders just what kind of shoddy cult Willow is running here. I'm Gavin, having an existential crisis.
And I am going to whisk you away. Just whisk you away tomorrow for an exciting day for your birthday, which will hopefully kill your existential crisis.
Or just contribute to it.
It could go either way.
Yeah. At the moment, it's too early to tell. How I'm feeling? Well, I'll just keep my cards close to my chest on that one.
Yeah.
So when do I find out what these plans are for this birthday that I forgot I was having?
Yeah, you forgot it was your birthday. I texted you and said, I have great plans for Saturday. And you're like, oh, well, then I guess I'll just go to the movies by myself. And I'm like, what are you talking about? These plans are for you on your birthday, you fatty.
Yes. If only that was the only thing that I forgot this week. I'm having my COVID brain fug. It kind of comes and goes, and it's kind of there at the moment, and it's frustrating because I'm in the middle of doing something. I want to go and do something else, and I kind of freeze. So I was like, what on earth was it that I was about to do?
Yeah.
And it was click on YouTube. But that's what I'm forgetting that I'm doing. So I forgot it was my birthday, and then
you forgot to click on YouTube.
And I forgot what age I'm going to be. So
right.
It's been a forgetful kind of week.
Yeah, and there's a COVID surge going on right now.
Oh, well, that's getting me worried.
Yeah.
With my fug.
Yeah. Our friend Tommy has the COVID now. Our friend in Louisville.
Oh, okay. So nobody who's likely to have given me it.
No, but still, maybe you should test yourself just for fun.
Yeah, it's always fun.
It's always fun to shove that thing up your nose.
Shove it as far as it'll go, and then shove it a little bit further.
Yeah, at least Tyrone didn't try to check his son's DNA that way.
There's a few ways he could have checked it, and I'm glad he didn't do any of those things.
Right.
Anyway, how are you this week?
I'm good. I am nearly done with this auction. Very exciting.
Hold on. Auction talk.
Yeah. Yesterday I cataloged a cookbook written by Vincent Price.
What?
And his wife.
Mrs. Price.
Yes, Mrs. Mary Price. Did you know that Vincent Price had written a cookbook? I didn't know that Vincent Price had written a cookbook until yesterday.
No, but I imagine it would be delicious. I guess that's a Vincent Price impression.
It's not.
That was what you talked like.
It's maybe a Scooby-Doo villain?
No.
A little?
No way with you. Anyway.
Yeah. So that was fun, you know, and it's just nice to get to the end of this because then I can move on to a new auction. I'm just glad that it wasn't me. It was Betsy who got to work on an all-doll auction. Well, practically all dolls. We had like a storeroom just full of dolls from this guy who just brought us lots and lots of dolls. And he thinks they're all worth like $1 million.
Oh dear.
And they're not worth $1 million. So I avoided that, which is nice.
Excellent.
I may buy some of them just because I know they creep you out.
Don't feel like you have to. All right, because I believe, do we have an early start tomorrow?
We do.
Okay, well, we better plough through this shit one more time then.
Yes. Once more into the breach.
Shall we preamble, my dear?
Yes, please.
Give us some of that forgetful Corrie news.
Stu, we barely knew you.
Stu who?
Stu. Oh, Stu. Dear
Former homeless Stu?
Stu.
No.
Bill Fellows has...
What, too?
Yeah. Bill Fellows has announced he is leaving the show after 3 long years. So good luck to him. I don't know. There've been hints of a Ted Lasso spin-off show. So maybe he's going to be in that. So we can see his balls again.
I think I'm good. I read that he had said that his character was always going to be a 3-year arc. I'm not sure if that was always going to be the case, because it kind of felt like his homeless arc was his arc, and then just because people liked him, they kind of kept him around,
right,
for a
and
bit longer.
didn't know what to do with him.
And that keeping him around for a little bit longer, I don't know if that was always a great idea,
Yeah,
given how it's kind of gone over the last
right,
12, 18 months or so.
right.
But he always seems like such a lovely man,
He does,
and
and a great actor.
yeah. And from that regard, I think he'll be missed. But from a character point of view, yeah, I think the time was up maybe some months ago.
Yes.
But farewell,
Yes.
young Bill, and
Yes.
your luscious hair,
Yes.
and those baby blues.
Yes. Hopefully we'll be seeing them somewhere else sometime soon.
With his testicles.
Yes. Fans of the show who have forgotten how TV works are shocked to learn that Dylan actor Liam McShane has a twin named Connor, who also used to play Dylan. Because this is how it tends to work with baby characters and very young characters, that they hire twins because they're not legally allowed to work only X amount of hours.
Yeah.
So most famous people who have been acting since they were babies are twins. Connor, however, is no longer an actor. He's a professional cricket player. Or just a cricket player. I don't know if it's professional. It just said cricketer. And I could just...
A cricketer.
And I just...
Is that like a mouseketeer?
And I couldn't help thinking that maybe he'll be in the Los Angeles 2028 Summer Olympics, because cricket is back on the table for the LA 2028 Olympics. You've heard it here first, folks.
When I think cricket, I think LA.
Yes. Yes, definitely. It is definitely a place for cricket.
Mm-hmm. Anyway. But no breakdancing.
No, breaking is off the table for now. So we'll see. Who knows? Maybe Snoop Dogg and Flavor Flav can do something about that, since they are now the patron saints of the Olympics.
Did you watch much of the Olympics?
I really didn't watch any.
I hardly saw any. I watched quite a bit to start with, and then I just... Ugh.
I watched clips. Of things, and then I watched the things that everybody was sharing, like the pommel horse guy, sleeping and then taking off his glasses like Clark Kent and just like smoking it. And the wee girls, Simone Biles and Jordan Childs, bowing down to the Brazilian girl who won the gold, which I thought was really sweet and nice. And I know about the whole boxing thing, and the Turkish guy with a gun. So I feel like I watched it.
And I feel like I've watched it too now.
And the closing ceremony with Tom Cruise rappelling down into the stadium, because nothing says Los Angeles
than cricket and Tom Cruise.
And cricket and Tom Cruise.
No Paddington, unfortunately.
It's also fortunate that one of our 3 children is kind of like really, really into the Olympics for some reason. And so I can just talk to them about them and feel like I've watched them. That's how I know that cricket is back on the table.
I will miss, however, that the show was available from 7 o'clock in the morning during the Olympics run. So for the Euros and for the Olympics, we were able to watch Corrie nice and early and not having to wait till later in the afternoon. But no longer.
I didn't take advantage of that anyway.
It helps me out a great deal. So it kind of pisses me off when they stop doing it for no reason, when I can't imagine it costs them any money to do this.
Right, yeah.
Anyway.
And finally, Mazel Tov to former Corrie actor Stephanie Davis, who played Courtney Vance, a.k.a.
Courtney Boobs.
on the show, as she has announced that she is expecting baby number 2. So expect Courtney Boobs to get even boobier.
A
in the
well-fed
future.
baby on the way.
And that's Corrie News.
That's Corrie News. I feel like I was a little bit sexist there.
You know, I'll allow it.
Okay. Anyway, if I was sexist, apologies. But either way, it is calmer waters ahead as we sail into our feedback section that I like to call Everyone's a Critic. Debbie writes in, I'm from Canada and I love all your pre-Corrie episode talk. You never fail to make me laugh. If someone doesn't like it, they can always fast forward past those bits or maybe just don't listen at all. I'd give you 5 stars, but they don't seem to have a rating system on Spotify. Well, thank you so much anyway, Debbie, for your very kind words.
Yes.
I feel maybe like I was deliberately trying to garner such a response, but
Yes.
anyway,
Yes.
it's still nice to hear.
Yes.
Fiona writes, I'm moving house this week after 12 years on the same street. Whilst I haven't slept with anyone's husband, had a secret baby, or stolen money from the local pub, I'm more of a Tim, I think. I get the occasional storyline, but I'm largely comic relief. I've been told by a few neighbours that I'll be missed. So, do I hire a black cab and insist my neighbours gather to wave me off? Your advice is much appreciated.
Yes! Do it! Do it!
I think Fiona isn't aware that there's a surprise party surely being planned as we speak.
As we speak.
But maybe, you know what, maybe I foresee Fiona walking down the cobbles with a rucksack over her shoulder and just allowing herself one last longing look before disappearing round the corner.
Hook on her thumb.
As
a sad tune
the
plays.
Incredible Hulk music starts to play for some reason.
Sad tune plays from the Incredible Hulk TV show. I feel like we need to be specific here.
That always gets me. It's just a bit that gets
Especially this bit.
me. Don't walk away, David Banner.
Come back. Why did they change his name to David in the show?
Because nobody's called Bruce.
Bruce Lee. Bruce Willis.
None of those people exist. Yep, I think that's what's in your future. And I think it's well deserved, Fiona, so please enjoy your flit. Red Day writes, I can't blame Alina for not wanting Doran anywhere near Hope, who has never once shown remorse for any of her crimes.
Including essentially murdering Alina's first baby.
Murder is strong, but I'll allow it. Waiting for Ruby and Hope to get a proper sibling rivalry story. I've said on Twitter how I'm concerned that they'll do a Natasha and kill Alina off so Tyrone can have his son on his own, but I think it would be karmic for everyone that Phil came back and got together with Alina. Phil with 2 L's.
Please come back, Phil with 2 L's.
Oh, we would love that.
We miss you so much. And those big meaty hands of yours.
And those baby blues.
I thought his eyes were brown.
I think they probably were.
Yeah.
And then we get, would you believe, another review on the iTunes.
What?
Again, out of the blue, I'm sure.
Uh-huh.
Jane from Canada writes,
Oh, it's a Canadian.
awesome podcast. 5 stars. I love catching up at the end of every week with Helen and Gav. Love the recaps, humour and banter. Also agree, Iron Brew is the best.
Yes.
Keep up the good work. Thank you so much, Jane. We really appreciate it. And I'm glad that Iron Brew has fans outside of Scotland and this house.
Yes.
Special over ice. Mark writes, with regards to your 1-star review from first-time listener who listened to 10 minutes, I'm wondering how they knew Helen's name.
Yeah, we speculated on that as well. About how do they know our name. I think my name is in the description of the podcast.
Nobody reads them, though, do they?
Maybe.
I don't know. I feel like we've gone on about this enough. But thank you, Mark, anyway. It's a good question. English Sharon, not racist, writes, hello, Jack and Vera. What sort of solicitor is Dee Dee if she can't work out what's going on? I wouldn't want her being my solicitor. Also, if they get married, she will be Dee Dee Deering.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
And what if our middle initials D? Dee Dee Deering? Ugh. Mason gives me the ick. And I've gone right off Betsy. Why? Oh, why can't they finish one storyline? There's just too much going on and it's all over the place. Apparently, I read somewhere that Martin's coming back for the final storyline with Gail. Oh, well, that might not be true anymore. Gail,
Yeah.
who it's been long since we've seen her, I've forgotten who she is, like a lot of the original characters. Too many young people for my liking. Yeah, it does get a bit Grange Hill every now and again, Sharon, I do agree. At the moment, I think it's not bad.
And to hear you complain that people think you're old.
I don't complain that people think I'm old. I complain that I am old.
I was looking at pictures of when we first got together.
I was in my 30s.
Look at your baby smooth face.
Yeah, that's long gone. Tell you, they're not running a health farm here, that's for sure. Then Cheeky writes, regardless of the romantic relationships that he's had, Tyrone only cares about the children in any dynamic because he was so neglected by his adopted parents, which is why he took to Vera and Jack so strongly. In my opinion, he doesn't love Fizz and feels very tied down to her decisions and how she emotionally feels about any decision with the girls or Doran. The same has now become true with Alina. This is why Tyrone takes every piece of advice anyone gives him, because he's never really allowed himself to make choices independently.
That's a very interesting theory.
That's an interesting point, and I think there's something to that. Tyrone does always seem to go out of his way to be a pleaser.
Yes, he is a people pleaser. And unfortunately, that gets him into trouble.
Finally, the idea that Kit would freak out during Paul's breathing issue is both brutal and deeply traumatic. Thank you very much, Cheeky, for your thoughts there.
Yes.
Also, thanks to English Sharon, Mark, Jane, Red They, Fiona and Debbie for writing in this week. We really appreciate it. Feedback is always welcome. Send us your thoughts and I will probably read them out. Get us at thetalkofthestreet@gmail.com or our DMs are open at Corrie Podcast. But please note that we reserve the right to edit feedback, but only in the interests of brevity. And now we'll podcast for coffee. Drinking our own coffees this week. Back on the Canada Dry. The Iron Brew days, as halcyon as they were, are over.
Now.
Somebody drank the last one.
I did. I had 2. You had 4. Shut up.
Did I have 4?
Yeah. Because I expressly told the kids they weren't allowed to touch those.
Get your dirty mitts off them.
Yes.
Or words to that effect.
Pretty much.
They're a little smaller than these cans.
A little.
But
I was surprised you didn't get the bottles.
I don't really like them with the plastic bottle. I don't really like them with the plastic bottle.
Interesting.
Yeah. The Talk of the Street is and will always be free on your podcast provider and on the YouTubes. But if you think our show is worth anything more than the time it takes to listen to it, and if you want to show your appreciation, you can buy us next week's coffee by going to ko-fi.com. That's ko-fi.com/the Talk of the Street. You can also sign up to be a friend of the podcast through the same link, where for as little as $2 a month, you can get a mention in the closing credits of each and every episode. And we now have a Patreon site where you can also show us some love. Sign up to be a friend of the podcast there at patreon.com/the Talk of the Street. But remember, you can always support the podcast for free. Get us in front of new listeners by liking, subscribing, rating and reviewing wherever you get your podcasts. All right, Shall we dive in?
All right.
My dear,
All right.
when did I start saying all right like that? Is that a recent development?
No, you've always said it that way.
Oh, okay.
You know what I've noticed recently? A lot of Americans saying garage instead of garage.
Finally.
It's weird.
There's hope for Fortnite yet.
It's weird, man. It's weird.
Shall we dive in, my dear?
Yes, please.
Our first storyline today is Reality Coding Bites. I'm getting a lot of mileage out of that title, which is good, in a way. On Monday, Nick is helping Toyah pack for her operation this week and tries to get Leanne to go with, but she has institute business to take care
Or
of.
showing interest. Any interest.
Yeah, she's still trying to do this emotional distancing. She's taken a leaf out of Gwyneth Paltrow's vagina-smelled book.
Sure.
Or candle.
Yes.
Later, David sees Leanne outside the bistro.
I'm going to have to get you one of those candles, just because.
Can you still do that?
I'm sure I can find one.
I think that's a bit of a challenge. Could light the candle in the kitchen, maybe get rid of the fruit flies. Later, David sees Leanne outside the bistro and
Or
asks...
I could just light my own vagina on fire.
Don't do that. Don't do that yet. Later, David sees Leanne outside the bistro and asks after Toyah and is a little surprised when Leanne doesn't seem to know much information about it because she doesn't even know that that's what he's talking about.
Right, yeah. He asks what time, and she's like, oh, it's 7 o'clock. And he's like, no, what time is the surgery, you fanny?
My friends on Facebook very much approve of your use of the word fanny.
I know.
He leaves and Rowan comes over reminding Leanne that she's doing the right thing. At the hospital, Nick sits with Toyah, who becomes worried that the cancer has spread. He tells her that they can't live by what ifs and says they'll cross that bridge if they come to it. He wishes her luck as she's led away. Meanwhile, Amy is meeting up with a financial advisor in the bistro because that's where you would meet a financial advisor, isn't it?
Right, yes.
And the financial advisor's doing their fact finding while Leanne lingers like a fart in the elevator behind them. At the hospital, the surgeon has bad news that's enough to get Nick to call Leanne, and we don't really know what this is at the moment. We just know that something's happened.
Something bad.
And then we see Leanne's reaction and we think, oh, something really bad's happened. And it's almost like the show's trying to trick us into thinking that Toyah's dead.
Is Toyah dead?
No, I don't think so. It seems that Toyah has suffered complications in surgery. We don't find out what, but is in ICU being stabilised. Leanne thought that the Institute's methods were the best idea, she says to Nick when she arrives at the hospital. Yeah, well, how's that working out, says Nick. Back at the bistro, the financial advisor goes away to crunch some numbers. Amy tells Addie that she's thinking about investing in the Institute. She's confident that it seems to be doing well, so it'll be a great opportunity to make some cash. Addie points out that his dad always drives a flash car regardless of his financial situation, and also highlights that they've given Amy no information about timelines, dividends, or investment projections, and they haven't even broken ground yet. Thank God for Addie.
Seriously.
Sounds like everyone should listen to Addie. Leanne goes to get coffee just as the surgeon tells Nick that they've got Toyah's bleeding under control and she's stable now. So they go to see her, and Leanne promises to be there from now on, but Toyah is still unconscious. Nick hears Leanne though, and he's glad that she's back in the room. In the pub later, Rowan meets Amy and Addie, keen to speak about the investment, and Amy announces that she's had a chance to think about it and she's talked to Addie and she's pulling out.
But not like that.
He says, have you spoken to Leanne? And apparently Leanne's not answering her phone. Rowan quietly seethes. Back at Toyah's bedside, Leanne is dinging Rowan's call still. The shine from the Institute seems to have faded for her, and she can't believe how selfish she's been. She's never been so sure of her love for Nick. And Nick cries a wee bit, and then leaves to pick up Sam. And he goes to see David, though, and tells him that the mist has lifted. He knows who he wants to be, and he's determined to sort things tomorrow.
Yes.
And at this point, I'm thinking, oh, he's going to make up with Leanne then.
Yeah.
On Wednesday, Leanne can't sleep and is now heading out to get Toyah's special kombucha. And this seems to help mend bridges between her and Nick, who thinks that she'll love it. This is a great idea. It's a special biotic kombucha or something that has a piece of shit or something in the bottom of the glass.
You've had kombucha before, yes? Mm-hmm. It's because, it's fermented. So there's like some goop.
Some shit, yeah.
Yeah, just not Gwyneth Paltrow's goop. By the way, candle's like $500, so you're not getting one.
Oh. Easy come, easy go.
You'll just have to smell my vagina.
The two of them are heading to the car when they're intercepted by a frantic Rowan who wants to talk about Amy pulling out.
But not like that!
Leanne doesn't have fucking time for this, tells him so, and she and Nick skedaddle. Rowan is fucking furious and stomps off in his fancy shoes. At the hospital, Toyah is doing better today, and the cancer was just in one ovary, so that's all done now. She's relieved to see Leanne and the two of them.
Or is it?
Yes, that's it. She's relieved to see Leanne and the two of them hug. When Leanne goes to get drinks, Nick can't wait to tell Toyah that he really loves her and he's planning on telling Leanne everything. I'm like, what? I thought you were going to go back with Leanne, and he didn't actually say that. He
didn't. He's made his
that
decision.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But if you think this is going to be plain sailing, hold your horses, says Toyah, who had ovarian surgery yesterday. She just got her sister back, and keeping Leanne happy has to be her priority. In other words, cool your jets, Romeo. Takes more than a quick bonk to turn this lassie's head. So Nick bursts into tears again, but he agrees. Back home, he gets a voicemail from Rowan threatening to go to Leanne with the photos of him and Toyah unless he gets that 20 grand tonight. Back at the hospital, he tells Toyah about the voicemail, and we get to listen to it all over again.
Yeah, we got to listen to it twice. It's hilarious.
Yeah. We're fucked, says Nick. Maybe not, says Toyah, who has a gleam in her eye despite having an ovary removed yesterday.
Yeah.
Toyah
and almost bleeding out.
Nick calls Rowan into the bistro and slowly explains that he's not paying out a penny. Rowan threatens to send a photo. Go ahead, says Nick, and I'll get you done for extortion. Rowan is fucking furious again about this development, and he tries to intimidate Nick, who really doesn't care to be intimidated. Rowan doesn't think Nick even loves Leanne. You don't know anything about her, says Nick, and he kicks Rowan out. Back at the hospital for the third time today, Nick congratulates Toyah on her great idea. It seems to have worked. He tells her about overhearing Tyrone in another storyline trying to convince his family that he's not going to leave and how sad that was. Toyah sees where this is going and quickly nips it in the bud. She tells him he can make things better with Leanne. So he goes home with flowers for her and tells her that he loves her, just as Rowan comes in with a bigger bunch of flowers to apologise.
Yeah,
for
but
his
cheaper
outburst.
flowers.
Was it cheaper?
Yeah, because Nick put out for roses. Rowan has like tiger lilies and birds of paradise.
Oh, how dare he.
Seriously.
Rowan has an apology about the outburst earlier, but has news that Willow is keen to meet up with her tomorrow for a special announcement. Leanne, who had agreed to go out with Nick and Sam tomorrow, kiboshes that in favour of Willow. No, pig's tits, says Nick. And Willow's about to level 7 the fuck out of Leanne.
No, not level 7.
Well,
she's going to skip level 7 and go all the way to level 8.
Well, we'll get to that.
Someday she'll go all the way to 11.
You see, you have an expression of expectation.
Well, it's a joke from
Is it?
from that movie.
What movie?
The movie where the amp goes all the way to 11.
Oh, Spinal Tap?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think anyone was expecting a Spinal Tap joke there. But I'm glad you did it.
Yes. It's a good joke.
You've got to try these things, Helen.
It's a good
You
joke.
never know how they're going to work
I
out.
like Spinal Tap.
On Friday, Nina's Rolls, David finds Nick in a morose mood when Leanne comes in. Her meeting with Rowan is done so she can go at the museum with Sam and Nick, but she's had Simon on the phone from where?
I don't
I
remember.
didn't write this down. But Toyah's been discharged and needs picked up, so everyone's plans are fucked. When they leave, they run into Rowan, who wants to move Leanne straight to level 8, skipping level 7. Now imagine being a level 7 at the Institute. You've worked hard to get 24-hour access to Willow and an AI version of your dead nan, and then in swans Leanne, leapfrogs you, and all of a sudden you're back to the screaming circle and being called a twatting fucker again. It's so unfair.
It is.
Leanne is blown away, but needs to help Toyah. Rowan promises to work around her nursing duties. What a guy. At the hospital, Toyah is delayed in getting discharged and feels bad about fucking up everyone's day, so Leanne is given the green light to take Sam to see Simon wherever he is. Somewhere abroad, apparently. Who cares? Nick goes to number 8 to borrow a suitcase and empties one onto the floor. David, keen to give Nick advice, inadvertently
It's
texts...
scales.
Inadvertently texts Shona, and 5 minutes later, Shona's kind of worked it all out. David says it was just banter, and that seems to satisfy Shona. That throws her off the scent. Meanwhile...
Because, let's remember, she was shot in the stomach and given brain damage.
That's right. Which has made her susceptible to David's pish.
Yeah.
So, meanwhile, Leanne and Sam are loaded into a taxi and go off to wherever it is that Simon is. And they're just missed by Rowan, who reckons this is a pleasant turn of events for Nick. Later, Toyah reckons this is a chance to prove the relationship is platonic, so keep your hands off me yams, she says. Later, David comes round to explain the Shona snafu, but no worries. He's managed to cover the tracks. In the meantime, though, keep little Nicky in his pants. And that's as far as we get with that story this
Yes.
week.
Keep Adam Sandler's character, Little Nicky, son of Satan, in your pants, Nick.
And also your penis.
Right. And also other characters of Adam Sandler's, like Hobie Halloween and
Oh, you're determined to go down this rabbit hole.
the golfing one.
Personally, I didn't see there was anything really worth mining there, but
Whenever I think of Little Nicky, I think of Adam Sandler as a son of Satan.
I never just think of Adam Sandler. It has to be a conscious decision. Adam Sandler never pops into my mind.
Really? Pops into my mind all the time.
Oh,
I don't know why.
that's a shame. Anyway,
It is a shame.
Anyway, Helen, you've been pretty quiet through all this, so tell us,
Yes.
what did you think of this storyline?
Aye, aye, aye. That's what I think. It's frustrating because it seemed like Leanne had really turned a corner, and then the second that Rowan dangles level 8 in front of her eyes, all of a sudden now she's like back in the Institute's clutches. It makes no sense.
Well, is she though? Because she's left.
Yeah, I suppose. I am glad though that Addie was able to get Amy to see sense. I mean, Ken would have never let her take that money anyway.
No.
But
Although there seemed to be some suggestion that now Amy is old enough that the money is no longer in trust. That maybe Ken's opinion doesn't really matter that much anymore.
then why couldn't Simon get his money? Because he's already of age as well.
Because storyline or plot.
There is that.
Because there was some insinuation that the meeting with the financial advisor could have taken Amy straight to investment, and I would have thought that Amy would have said, I'd like to invest, but there's no way in the world that my granddad's going to go for this. And the fact that she didn't, I don't know.
Who knows? She's not doing it, so that's all that matters.
Yeah, good old Daddy there to save the day with some reasonable questions that I'm sure lots of viewers have been having regarding
Right.
investment returns and
And
timelines and stuff.
and fully acknowledging the fact that, you know, he has learned some things from his dad as far as running a business is concerned.
Well, he always had a good business head on his shoulders,
He
or so
did.
we were told. So
He did.
at some point, I feel like we need to find out what this level nonsense means.
The show probably doesn't even know what
It
this
probably
level
doesn't know.
nonsense means. I just want to know what level it is when Leanne gets Rowan's name tattooed on her vagina.
Right. How did you like David this week? I thought he was given some cracking lines.
Yes, David was great. I liked his shopping list. Lots of different chocolate things.
And then just yawning and stretching and showing off his tummy.
Yeah.
That was
And we got a
You don't expect to see that filmed.
and we got a and I mean it's just this
Oh, was
week.
there?
Yeah.
I started to collect them, and then we went about a year without another one, and I'd just given up.
Oh,
I think there's been a good thing to collect,
yeah.
and it's impossible now to track down those episodes. So
That's true.
And plus, it's not in the script. So even if I had access to the script.
Are you sure it's not in the script?
Yeah, he'd said on one of the Sofa Cinema clubs that it just kind of became something that he improved. It feels like an improv, doesn't
Are
it?
they still doing that?
I think it's between seasons at the moment.
Yeah. I unsubscribed when they stopped talking about movies.
Yeah, me too. Good news though that Toyah seems to have her cancer scare seems to be over.
Yes. It has served its purpose, I guess.
Now, what do you think of her decision to put the kibosh on her relationship with Nick?
It makes sense.
They love each other though.
Right. Well, Nick loves her. I'm not convinced that Toyah loves him.
She said that she did.
Yeah, but I don't think she loves him in the same way he loves her.
She loves him like she would love a cup of cocoa or a nice warm coat.
Or a cousin.
Oh. Yeah, that's the third thing that was needed there.
Yeah.
But not
familial.
Not love. See, they keep on talking about it in terms of they couldn't resist their passion for each other. And I don't think there was passion
No.
at all.
Yeah.
It was kind of the opposite of that. The
And
whole
it was-
reason why they were together was more through a sense of just to connect to anything or anyone.
Right. And out of frustration with Leanne. Mm-hmm. Like just subliminal getting back at her, even though they never want her to find out about it.
Yeah, so it wasn't a passionate affair by any
and
means.
Neither one of them seemed like they were both very somber when they walked out of that bedroom. Let's remember.
Little Nicky.
No one's expecting Adam Sandler to just pop out of your pants like that.
Oh, look, you're never going to meet him.
Who says I want to meet him? That seems like the worst thing you'd ever want is to meet Adam Sandler.
I think he'd be frustratingly on all the time.
Yeah.
Just settle down and have a drink, Adam. You don't have to entertain everybody. We're
Right.
just sitting there.
Yeah.
We're sitting here
But
watching
I'm
Hollyoaks. Just cool your jets.
But I'm sure that it's gotten to a point where people do expect him to be on all the time. So he can never just calm down. You know? It's kind of like Robin Williams. He is a very good actor when he puts his mind to it.
Which just makes it all the worse when he doesn't put his mind to it.
Yeah. I still haven't seen Uncut Gems yet.
It's all right.
Yeah.
That's a lot, though.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of Adam Sandler talking.
Right.
Let's move on. Our next storyline tonight is Alina popped back. On Monday, Hope is no happier about the Doran situation this week than she was last week.
Yeah, she starts making fun of his name.
She is pissed that this means that their holiday's fucked. Not everyone gets to go on the holiday, says Tyrone. Not everyone had cancer, snaps Hope. How long's that been building up for? Ty goes to Adam's and gets a DNA kit from him. Adam thinks that this will...
Because I guess lawyers just have those lying around.
Adam does.
He needs them.
And Adam actually says, this might not hold up in a court of law, but it might satisfy your curiosity.
Right, yeah.
That's good that a lawyer is satisfying Tyrone's curiosity and not actually anything legal.
Right.
You can go and steal or harvest this boy's DNA. Just don't expect it to stand up in court because you got it in a hotel room.
Right, yes.
Without the mother's knowledge or permission.
Right. Especially since it will turn out that Doran is 100% that bitch.
Plus, look at the wee boy. Look at him. Ty doesn't think Alina would have lied, and he's right. He's right to think that.
Yeah, because there's no reason for her to lie.
But he goes ahead with the plan anyway. Meanwhile, in the pub, Fizz walks in and all the regulars gossiping about Tyrone and Alina and the DNA test, which Fizz knew nothing about.
Right.
How does everyone else know about it? Because Tyrone's been blabbing about it.
Right, because did Sally hear it from
Tim,
who heard it from
Tyrone.
They hear from Tyrone?
Yeah, when they were playing darts.
Oh, yeah. Why would you tell Tim and not your wife?
When Tyrone said, lip balm.
Oh, right, yes. Because Tim is mad that Steve borrowed his lip balm.
Yeah. And just spoiler, that's the only part of that storyline that we're talking about. And now it's done.
Like Tim and Steve haven't swapped spit before.
Ugh. Tyrone is at the rape hotel, and when Alina nips off for a shite, he tries to swab... Shower a shite? He tries to swab the inside of Doran's cheek, but he's caught because Alina shits quicker than Ty remembers, and much quicker than Fizz.
Right, because she forgot her towel. Because she was going to go take a shower, because she could finally take a shower because there's another adult in the room to hang out with Doran.
She's furious that he didn't trust her word and throws him out, with Doran observing that Tyrone is a very naughty boy.
Yes. That kid is so fucking cute.
He's born to act.
So cute.
They've just said to him, because he doesn't know what he's doing.
No.
They just said to him, we want you to say this in this tone of voice.
Yes.
And he just does it.
I don't even know if they say in this tone of voice. I think that kid just knows how to say naughty boy.
I think maybe Henry has been told that he's a naughty boy.
Maybe once or twice.
He's got a little gleam in his eye, I think, doesn't he?
So cute.
I think this is the one thing that every Corrie fan can agree on. That wee laddie is so cute. And such, again, perfect casting.
Yes.
So, Alina announces that, fuck this, she's heading home the first chance she gets. Back at home, Fizz tears a strip from Tyrone about the DNA until he explains about being caught and Alina fucking off back to Romania. So, it's up to Fizz to fix things. Fizz goes to the rape hotel and pleads Tyrone's case to Alina, saying that he's been knocked sideways by this and can't help but make bad decisions. Fizz would prefer Alina to leave, but it doesn't change the fact that Doran has a family, and that family want to be part of his life.
Except for
apart from Hope. She gets home, and Tyrone is grateful that Fizz managed to change Alina's mind, and Fizz insists that from now on, they make decisions together. 3 words that mean nothing in Coronation Street.
Yeah.
From now on.
Right, yes.
From now on, no more lies.
Yeah. Except when we lie.
From now on, we make decisions together. On Wednesday, Tyrone goes to see Adam, and he's an emotional wreck. Tyrone, that is, not Adam. He wants to... Be funny if Adam was just an emotional wreck for no reason. What happened to Adam's panic attacks? Where's Wendy's list?
We don't see Adam enough anymore. When does he have time to have a panic attack?
Well, it was in the middle of a storyline. He kept on having panic attacks.
Right.
At inopportune moments.
Yeah.
Which isn't how panic attacks work, but anyway.
Right, yeah. But it was during his own storyline. And he's not in his own storyline. He's in Tyrone's storyline very briefly. Not enough time for a panic attack.
So Wednesday then, Tyrone goes to see Adam, and they're both emotional wrecks. Adam manages to conceal his, though. Tyrone wants to be part of Doran's life, but he's worried that he's screwed that up. Adam has a nuclear option in mind to keep the kid in the country, but he'd rather hold that back. Tyrone reveals that Fizz doesn't know that he's going down this legal route. Fizz is having her own problems with this. She knows that Tyrone loves her, but this brings everything back, and she's worried about how the kids are reacting to it, scared that Tyrone is going to move into the salon flat again and get a massive picture made of him and Alina. So, Fizz books a fancy meal to take their minds off it, but Tyrone doesn't think they can afford it, what with them having to pay for the rape hotel for the next 2 weeks, so he books a bistro instead. Over dinner, Hope is in a foul mood, and when pressed, she says how worried she is that Tyrone is going to pull a Tyrone again. He promises that that won't happen.
Yeah. Yeah, just like the last time. He promised not to be Tyrone.
From now on.
From now on.
On Friday, to make up to the girls, Tyrone promises to take the girls to the movies tomorrow, and both are excited about this for some reason.
Right, because they've just been dying to see Deadpool and Wolverine. Hope really likes the bloody scenes.
Later, Tyrone announces that he's spoken to Alina, who has asked him to look after Doran tomorrow, and he's agreed. So would Fizz mind taking the girls to the movies instead? Oh, pig's tits, says Fizz, and that's as far as we get with that this week.
Look, just take them all to Harold and the Purple Crayon, and that just fixes it. Hope doesn't get the gore, but she still gets to see a delightful movie that is age appropriate for her wee brother.
We got a suggestion for this in our feedback section, but there is the start of maybe a more serious sibling rivalry between Hope and Ruby. They're constantly arguing.
Yeah, but they've been constantly arguing since they were born.
I don't think so. I don't think as bad as this. Because even when they're not in the room, you can hear them arguing upstairs. It's like, I think they're both at an age now where...
Yeah, they're teenage girls.
They
it's
need
normal.
To be in separate rooms or separate houses as much as possible.
Yeah. They're teenagers. It's fine.
Hope's reaction's fair, do you think?
You know, I think so. And, you know, she does feel things very deeply compared to everyone else.
Pretends that she doesn't.
Yeah. And let's not forget, she's already still kind of nursing this kind of embarrassed heartbreak over, what's his name?
Jack.
Jack. Thank you. I knew it was one of the J names.
It's always one of the J names that trip you up.
Yeah. It's because there's too many of them. Jack and Jake and Joseph and
Jeremiah.
Jimmy.
Janice.
Janice is fine.
And poor Joby Johnson. All right, Joby.
It's a very unfortunate nickname. But it'll stick
Yeah, I guess.
to the bottom of your shoe.
I went to school with a guy that we called Joby Johnson, and
Yeah.
I think in his 30s he was still called Joby.
Yeah.
You don't want to be called Joby.
No.
The reason he was called Joby was because it kind of goes with Johnson.
Really? He didn't accidentally step in dog shit
I
once?
don't think so.
'Cause it happens to everybody. But if your last name is Johnson, then it's just,
Just forget it.
yeah.
There's no lollipop stick that's going to get that out the tread of your shoes, that's for sure.
Nope. Yeah, you know, honestly, I think, and it's hilarious because, like, during that whole scene when Alina catches him, I'm just looking at him contaminating that swab
Yes.
with his hand, and then she's like, "Just go ahead and do it." And it's like, you can't do it now. His DNA is all over that swab now, so it's going to come back positive no matter what.
They weren't exactly lab conditions at the best of times.
No, he's hilarious with the, "Let's pretend to make funny faces. Can you go, ah?"
And Dawn's like, what?
Yeah, yeah, he's like, "Fuck no. Get out of here with that, Daddy."
He did say no. He did say he wasn't doing it. But that didn't stop Tyrone putting the enormous Q-tip right up to Doran's wee face.
Yes.
Dearie me. How did he imagine that going?
I don't know. And it's like, wait a few minutes until she's fully in the shower before you do this. Keep talking about Romanian football players. Because that was cute. I liked that part when he's talking about Romanian football players to the wee boy as if he cares.
Right. Or knows anything about that sort of thing.
Right.
But I guess, I don't know if there was much threat really there from Alina about going back to Romania. This wee boy was born in the UK, has lived his entire life in the UK, has a decent grasp of the English language already.
Yeah, how much Romanian does that kid know?
None, I would say.
Plus, Romania is still dangerous for her. So it's not until the UK becomes too dangerous for her will she go back to Romania.
Right. Yeah, well, we'll see where we go with that. Moving on, our next storyline is Steve's Demi Semi. I don't think they've treated Demi well in this at all. But anyway, on Monday, Steve is excited about a date with Demi tonight and is quite dismissive about his day at the footy with Cassie from last week. In Nina's roles, though, Cassie is very positive about the date as she talks to Evelyn about it, and she's positively frothing with excitement when Steve comes in to tell her about a concert in the park today. So later, she's all done up to the nines at number one, scrubbing up, as Steve says, rather well, when Steve reveals that the concert is actually with Ken, as he's heading out with Demi. Ken is very much looking forward to this and offers Cassie her choice of blanket.
Which I thought was very nice.
So smooth. You don't learn skills like that.
No.
Steve and Demi are having a lovely meal at the bistro. Demi has noticed that there's something a little special about Steve.
Yes.
There is indeed.
Yes, and she hasn't even witnessed him pretending to be a velociraptor yet.
He says something along the lines of, and who knows where your finger might end up tonight.
Yeah. If I had a nickel for every time somebody said that to me.
Right. Now wash your hands. They're discussing which dessert to share when Tim and Sally come in. Sally reckoned that Steve was buffing Cassie and the two women go off for a simultaneous shite. Steve tells Tim that he's not as into Demi as he thought he was, and he seems intrigued when Tim mentions how Cassie thought the concert was for her and Steve. Back home, Cassie and Ken have had a great time together.
Yes.
Steve comes home and admits that he isn't really feeling it with Demi, but when he suggests that he and Cassie might have a sparkle together, she laughs in his face.
Right, yes. And she's like, forget you. I'm too busy talking about Debussy with Kenneth.
But Cassie is into Steve. She
Yeah.
said that to Evelyn.
Yeah.
So when Steve offers a path that will kind of go down in that direction, she just knocks it back.
Maybe she's thinking that she's sloppy seconds,
Oh,
sort of thing.
a lovely phrase.
Yeah. Well, it ain't all pretty.
It really ain't. Yeah, maybe his treatment offer in that episode by dumping Ken on her, but
Right.
that's
'cause-
her job,
Well, yeah,
kinda,
but
ish, a little bit.
But it would have been nice if Steve had explained that fully at Nina's rolls earlier.
Oh yeah, that would have taken an extra 5 seconds. Yeah.
Right, yeah. Yeah. He could have said that. It would have helped. But she should have known better, because does that really sound like something Steve would want to go to?
Hell no. That's why he didn't go. And plus he had
Plus,
the
he
thing
had a
with Demi.
date, yeah. Because Amy was supposed to go, and she was talking to her financial advisor instead.
Did he make the right decision about Demi?
I don't know. He's punching.
It was definitely punching with Demi. And this is kind of what I was getting at last week. I feel that Steve is better being the lesser partner.
Yeah. He's always going to be the lesser partner.
Well, I don't know that he was with Cassie. I don't know that he will be with Cassie. Although when Cassie decides to put her mind to it, she does present herself rather well.
She's an awful lot like Tracy.
Yeah, too much like Tracy, maybe.
Yeah.
On Wednesday.
And that may be why Steve just feels inclined to fight with her.
Yeah, maybe. On Wednesday, Ken and Cassie are chilling out to a bit of Debussy's Claire de Lune. Steve comes in and is furious to see her drink from his #1 cabbie mug and orders her to use a different one. Because it feels now that they're just entirely pissed off with each other. Ken is appalled and tries to remember why Steve still lives there. Steve meets Tim in the cafe and reckons that Cassie is a non-starter and Demi isn't getting his dander up either. Meanwhile, Ken and Cassie continue to get cosy and share a laugh when Cassie accidentally, but not really, breaks Steve's special mug. When Steve comes home and sees that, he's furious and does his dinger, shouting at Cassie, who loses her temper in response, and Ken's had this up to his tits and tells them both to settle down. Later, Cassie tracks Steve down to the pub and tells him that she's quit. Steve thinks this is for the best, so she goes home to tell Ken, but as she goes in, she overhears him on the phone talking about a recent premium bond win. Ken is 50 grand better off because the old white guy is the one who needs the free money.
Yeah.
Suddenly, Cassie has a change of heart and will hang around after all. So, you don't just give Ken 50 grand for nothing. Is Ken investing in the Institute?
Fuck no. Can you imagine somebody trying to explain this whole uploading thing to Ken? Oh, Rowan.
Yeah. If the show has a magic 50 grand to just throw about,
Why Ken? So that this storyline with Cassie can happen.
because Cassie's going to try and rip him off.
Yeah. Which is weird because she seems to really like
She
the old
does.
guy.
The two of them really like each other, I
yeah.
think.
Yeah.
He was singing her praises about how good a carer she is.
Yeah.
And she genuinely seemed to enjoy hanging out with him at the concert.
Yeah.
So, for her to go, this is the thing with her. It always seems like she's kind of turning her corner and becoming a likeable character again, but there's just part of her that just never seems to let this take.
It's like Betsy.
Yeah, very much on a kind of bigger scale, perhaps. Ugh. On Friday, Tracy's back. Just Tracy's back. Just
Tracy is
Tracy's
back.
back.
She is not happy because the first face she sees is Cassie's.
Well, she turns up unannounced, and that's her big introduction back into the show as the door opens and there's Tracy standing there.
Yep.
She immediately gets stuck into Cassie and tries to throw her out. Both of them demand Steve do something about this, so he tells Cassie to take an early lunch. Cassie, on her way out, reveals that she's Ken's carer, but agrees to step aside if Tracy's here to pitch in, almost daring Tracy to do something for somebody.
Right, and insinuating that she is washing Ken's balls.
Later, that's why Ken's smiling. Later, Ken still hasn't forgiven Tracy, who tries to get on his good side by offering to be his carer. And Ken's like, this is the worst idea. Ken is more keen to know why she's home, but again, Tracy deflects. Meanwhile, Steve offers Cassie an olive branch in the shape of a Chelsea bun, and the two of them seem closer now that they've got a common enemy. Steve just wants the peace to be maintained at home, though. Mary finally catches that Tracy's back, and she pops round to see what's going on and hopefully get some gifts. Unfortunately, there are no gifts.
No.
And Tracy remains cagey about her life in España until Cassie comes back, and then Tracy announces that she'll be staying for a while. That's as far as we get with that this week. So why is Tracy home, do you think?
Because she and what's his name broke up.
I don't know if they've broken up, but maybe life out there with Tommy O isn't all it was cracked up to be.
And so she broke up with him.
I think she would maybe say, wouldn't she?
No. Especially not with Steve around. She's not going to say that. It is weird though, because a couple of weeks ago Tommy O was back.
Yeah.
And Tracy wasn't with him. And now Tracy's back. And Tommy O isn't with her. It's weird. It's weird, man. Something's going on. Are you happy Tracy is back?
I think you asked me that last week.
Well, she wasn't back last week.
No, but we kind of spoiled it in our Corrie news. And yeah, I guess I'm happier now that
She's
I've
actually
seen her.
back. Yeah.
There's something about seeing her and Steve together that just kind of works and just kind of fits and it's kind of cozy. That after this time together as a couple, maybe they still kind of work. I really don't want them to get back together again, but I don't know why she's back otherwise.
Yeah. And as soon as she's back, when she and Cassie are in the room, you're like, oh, this is why Steve is into Cassie.
Yeah, these two are exactly the same
Yeah.
character.
Pretty much.
Which suggests then that maybe this is just a flying visit back then, or
Who knows?
part of a proper exit story for Tracy. And that's another good thing about her coming back, is that those dual exits that she had a few months ago can be written off. They weren't exits at all. It was all just temporary. It is a shame that the Demi thing hasn't worked out, because I kind of liked her. I liked her character. I liked the actor that played her. It seems that that's kind of done now.
I mean, she didn't really have a full-fledged character.
She was feisty, and she kept Steve on his toes a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's not really a personality, is it?
I don't know if it's a personality, but there was certainly something there that was working, I felt.
Yeah. But it didn't really feel like they were, I don't know. It's weird that they brought her back after the initial, this isn't working because you're still in love with your ex-wife sort of thing.
Right.
So, I don't know.
She said there was something about him, there was something special, and that's why...
She gave him a call back.
I don't know, it just doesn't make an awful lot of sense. Because she's already out. And we think that she's already out and she's not coming back. So then just to bring her back for 2 scenes and then that's her going back into the cupboard again. It's like, was it really worthwhile bringing her out just for that? It's just the strangest move, because all it did was allow Steve to say that he wasn't really into that anyway. But
right,
what
and
did
to
it matter?
realize that he's actually really into Cassie.
I feel like we could have done that quicker. This just seems an awful lot of backwards and forwards and to and fro and unnecessarily, because Tim was always going to tell Steve how Cassie seemed to feel, and surely that would have been enough. Maybe the Demi thing isn't over then. I don't know. It kind of feels like it. I hope it's not. I'd like to see a bit more of Steve and her together, but now that Tracy's back, I don't know. I guess that seems unlikely. All right, our penultimate storyline this week then is Green Vinyl. On Monday, Billy is trimming Paul's beard while Dev clatters in with his size 10s asking how it feels being trapped in the flat. Yeah, that wasn't a good question to ask Dev.
Come on, Dev.
Later at the pub, it transpires that Kit is moving into one of the spare rooms at the Rovers for no apparent reason.
Well, because he bought a house, but he bought a house for Gemma.
But he also had a house.
Right, but he needed to move closer now that he works there. And also...
I feel like we're kind of inventing that as a reason a little bit.
And also, so he can flirt with Daisy.
Well, yes, there is that. Gemma teases Jenny and Glenda about getting her hole with her brother, which is kind of creepy. Later...
And then there's an incest joke.
There was. Incest klaxon, says Glenda.
Yes. Creepy.
I'm not happy that there's an incest klaxon. I'd
Yeah.
rather that there wasn't.
No. Because that insinuates that Glenda herself has thought about it.
Oh, with George? Oh, yikes. No, I'm sure George is a very tender lover. Later, she warns Kit that Jenny likes the younger man. She invites Kit round for dinner with Bernie later, but he dodges
But you'll get murdered.
saying that he's working. The dinner party at Billy's goes down a storm, though. Paul is worried about Kit's absence, and Bernie silently reckons that it's her doing. And this is confirmed when Billy goes to the pub for another bottle of wine and sees Kit in the pub. Kit lies and says it wasn't feeling great, but when pressed, says it's best if he stays out of Bernie's way.
Right, yes. Because Billy is like a dog with a bone. He's like, if you're not feeling well, why are you doing laundry? And all Kit has to say is, because I have dirty underwear.
Right.
Shut up. Just because I'm not feeling well doesn't mean that I can't, that I...
The world comes to an end.
Right, exactly.
The laundry has to be done, damn it.
Seriously. And he doesn't want Jenny doing it.
I reckoned it would have done his laundry before he moved, though. It kind of suggests that he packed dirty laundry. Who does that?
Somebody with a lot of dirty laundry.
Uh-huh.
Scratch your nose a little bit more.
On Wednesday, Billy can't wait to grass Kit up to Paul, telling
Yeah,
him that
fuck you, Billy.
Kit wasn't working yesterday. I saw him. He wasn't working yesterday. Said he was doing laundry. I don't believe it. Paul realises this is down to Bernie's presence. Billy thinks that she's worked hard to earn forgiveness. Has she?
Yes.
Has she, though?
Yes. I think she has.
She's worked hard?
Yes.
She tried a little, but I feel like she's kind of... I think she's done the right thing just by giving them some space, but...
Right, and that is hard work, giving someone space that you love, that you want to forgive you. It's hard work staying away from people sometimes.
So Billy brings Kit round and leaves Paul to talk to him via his little language doodah. Kit, though, admits that he's been making life as hard as possible for Bernie, and that he's not always a nice person. If Paul wants him to forgive and forget, that's probably not going to happen. As Paul tries to convince Kit, remembering his own journey with Bernie, Paul starts to choke and Kit panics. Kit's going to get on the phone to the health centre, but Bernie arrives and calmly gets the oxygen mask out and explains to Kit what she's doing and why she's doing it, and she talks Paul through the recovery. Kit is amazed that Bernie was able to deal with this so smoothly. So he follows her back to the quad house and finds her in tears after the incident. Kit gives her a hanky, and the two of them start to talk about Paul and how Bernie isn't ready to say goodbye. She asks what this means, what with him being there. He says he doesn't know. So they end up in the pub, where the small talk is pretty fucking small.
Yes. But at least they're sitting, just the two of them together, and talking.
Awkwardly.
Yes.
Looking like they would rather be anywhere else.
Right. I do find it interesting that that Kit's like to Paul, like well, first of all, he admits that he did whatever he could to try to hurt Bernie.
Yeah.
And to split them up and turn them against her. And he admits that that's wrong, but he has all of this anger inside of him.
Yeah.
From when she didn't show up when he was in his 20s.
Yes.
You know, and I find this really interesting and really touching that he's like confessing this stuff to Paul. And that he is also admitting that sometimes he's not a really good person, because he's sometimes not a really good person in storylines other than this one.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting for him to put that out there in words spoken.
Yeah, there's a cynical side of me that is saying he's telling Paul because he knows that Paul's not going to be around for much longer, and when Paul passes away, knowledge of that conversation kind of goes with him. It's like he's not telling Billy this.
No, Billy's not his brother.
But still, I think it's a sign of certainly some introspection on Kit's behalf and a realisation of the sort of person that he is, and maybe when he was doing his best to split Bernie up from Gemma and Paul, that there was part of him that didn't think he was doing anything wrong there, that it was, you know, if this so happens that they decide not to speak to her again, then so be it. All I'm doing is telling people the facts. And,
right.
And that's kind of true to a point, but it was certainly manipulated and exaggerated.
He admits that they weren't necessarily the facts.
Right. So it's about a growth, really.
Yes, which is nice.
On his part. And it just all this kind of adds up to what an interesting character Kit is and has been, and why. And
continues to be.
Yeah, and maybe why we're kind of happy to overlook some of the more dodgy parts of him. The fact that Nathan's in prison, or is he? Nathan's wherever he is because of Kit, and the whole counterfeit T-shirts gig. Despite those things, I still like Kit. I still think he's an interesting character, and think probably more or less positively about him. Mm-hmm. Which you wouldn't normally afford a character who is behaving this way. Right.
We give him the benefit of the doubt because he's so tall.
It doesn't hurt.
No.
On Friday, in the God flat, Paul is happy at how things went with Kit and Bernie yesterday, and he's feeling a bit better about it. Billy, though, is exhausted, and doesn't he look it? He isn't sleeping well. He's worried about the rehousing. So they all arrange to meet for a drink later. Paul is keen to watch The Sopranos. He's watching all the box sets that he's supposed to watch before he dies.
Right.
I don't know if I like these conversations. I mean, it's obvious that this is everything that he's doing now is something that he's going to do before he dies. Right. Because it's sooner rather than later. But
right. I mean, we know what's going to happen. We should kind of look into some of those lists that are the X things to do before you die for a list of lists next.
Of things to do before you die? Like going scuba diving or whatever?
Well, no. But like box sets to watch before you die.
Oh, box sets to watch.
Not that I expect you to watch all of The Sopranos.
No.
Because that would be exhausting.
Yeah, I think this is a off-podcast conversation.
It would be fun, though. But it would be exhausting. Anyway, continue.
So, Kit finishes moving boxes into the Rovers and immediately runs Daisy up the wrong way when she offers to help, and he implies that she's a weak woman. Ryan comes in, curious to know what's happening between the two of them, and he approaches Kit to see what he said to Daisy, which I didn't know that felt like a Ryan thing to do.
No. And are they dating?
Yes.
Are they?
Yeah. You can say it even higher if you like.
I guess I didn't remember because I haven't seen Daisy or Ryan
Daisy
for
and Ryan
weeks.
Haven't been in it forever.
Forever.
I expected Ryan's scarring to be less pronounced.
And it is.
But not as less pronounced as I expected it to be.
Yeah. It almost looks like it's going to go completely away, and that better not happen.
No, I don't think it is. I would have worried if it had been less pronounced, but yeah, he's suddenly super possessive about why is Daisy, a bartender, talking to this tall man in a bar.
Right, who also now lives there.
Yeah, I don't know if Ryan knew that. So let's give him the benefit of the doubt and say that he didn't.
Well, no, because Daisy told him. And because he was moving a box behind the bar.
Yeah, but something about that has got Ryan so curious that he's saying, well, what's this all about?
Right.
And then following up on it later, even after he's being...
But it's fine.
Is it? I think it's strange.
Because now they're friends.
Well, now they're friends.
Yeah.
But at that
And
point,
they wouldn't have been friends.
but at
They
that
wouldn't
point,
have
it
been
looked
friends
like
if he
Ryan,
hadn't asked him.
But at that point, it looked like Ryan was ready to box his chops for him for dissing his girl.
He can't reach his chops.
It looked like he was going to give a damn good shot.
He'll maybe
hoping that
get the bottom of his chin if he's lucky. Maybe tap his Adam's apple.
I feel like your
Kit is
your
very tall.
well, of course, but I don't know. This Ryan
Ryan
suddenly being
supposed
this possessive boyfriend thing just isn't a good look.
Run and jump at him or something in order to get to his chops.
Well, thankfully, we live in a world that has footstools, Helen.
He's like, wait a second. Hold on. He runs into the rovers, grabs a footstool,
Carries a footstool around with him.
back out, puts it down. He's like, okay, I'm ready now. And then he punches him, and then Kit just pushes him off the footstool.
Kit wishes.
And he falls. And cries.
Kit also has a footstool, though. That's where it gets complicated.
That man does not need a footstool. He should be playing for the British Olympics basketball team, which I don't even know if they placed or if they even have one. Anyway, Kit's very tall.
I get that that's where you were going with this. So, Kit admits to flirting and being shot down, which placates Ryan, and 5 seconds later, they're bonding over a vintage vinyl, and Kit has dinged Paul, whose language machine is stuck on jog on. See if he says jog on one more time. Enough.
Yeah.
Enough of it. Enough of jog on. Enough with mint. We're done with that now, please. In the pub, Ryan is impressed with Kit's vinyl, and the two of them are hitting it off rather splendidly, much to the dismay of a watching Daisy. And
Yes.
that's as far as we get with that this week.
Finally, something happens in Corrie that I can relate to.
About a vinyl.
Yeah.
They were talking about, as far as I could make out, Britpop
Yeah.
records
And
that surely are 10 a penny.
and not anymore. And stuff from the 90s,
That's
which
Britpop.
which Kit says is before his time. And yet that man is in his 30s. So he was a kid, but it's not necessarily before his time.
He's 31, so he was 7 at the end of the 90s.
Right.
Yeah, that's a fair comment.
It is not.
Of course it is.
When you were 7, were you aware of the music scene going on around you?
No, I was aware of what I liked musically, but that was largely Shawaddy Waddy and Adam and the Ants. And the universe was much bigger at the time. I didn't know very much about what was going on in ska and two-step and electronic music at the time. I just knew what I liked and I stuck to it. Although Adam and the Ants still are pretty cool.
MTV existed, my darling.
Not when I was 7, it didn't.
Yeah, it did.
No, it didn't.
Well, it would definitely have existed for Kit in the 90s. So he should have been more musically aware as a 7-year-old. I was more
Never really
musically.
got MTV. MTV was a satellite channel.
I suppose I was just very lucky
What it means is
to be born in this country
that
with MTV.
that a 31-year-old now doesn't probably remember the whole what's the story Morning Glory versus Park Life thing. Probably doesn't remember it firsthand that well. Yeah. He'd be like 5 or something. He just had absolutely no idea about it. Or if he did, doesn't remember. Oh God, we're getting old. Jesus.
I'm trying to remember. Let's see. I was 7 in 83. 83 was a good year for music. And 84 was an even better year for music. I was a bit more aware because we had MTV. My mom didn't allow me to watch it, but I watched it anyway because I was raised by babysitters. Anyway, we are getting far off the subject. But yes, I enjoy a good convo over vintage vinyl. Hit me up. That's another thing that I cataloged today. I cataloged
I'm not hitting the
talking.
button again.
I cataloged Talking Heads album that I'm quite excited about and will definitely be bidding on.
So, Kit and Daisy then?
Yeah. Kind of disappointed it's not Kit and Sarah because Daisy's slightly taller than Sarah.
Yeah.
But
Sarah's up to Kit's waist, pretty much.
if that.
The fact that Kit and Daisy kind of got off to a feisty start.
Right, but they were both flirting. She was flirting back.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely, she was flirting back. You know. But I really want Ryan to have a friend. Ryan deserves to have at least one friend on this show who's not Daisy.
Yeah.
He deserves to have friends. And I would like Kit to have friends too, who aren't his siblings.
The thing is
Or
that,
Craig.
that Ryan is probably quite a good potential friend for Kit, given that Ryan has done his fair share of impetuous, stupid things that aren't quite on the right side of legality. It could be quite the foil for Kit.
Right. And then they can talk about vintage vinyl some more.
And maybe the two of them could hook up. Wouldn't that be a surprise?
Stop trying to make Ryan gay. It's just not going to happen.
Daisy's, I think it's a matter of time before
Yeah.
Daisy and Kit
Yeah.
get it on.
Yeah.
And that's just highlights the fact that her and Ryan aren't really there was never really any mileage in that. And I'm glad that there isn't because of the whole way that
Right.
Daisy behaved right at the start.
Right. Yeah. And the fact that the only reason why they have a relationship is because of the shared trauma more than anything.
Yeah.
I love Glenda flirting with Kit as well, though. That was fun.
Yeah, she's giving it a go. Good for
Yeah.
her.
Good for her. And the whole Jenny thing.
She likes them young.
She likes them young.
Hoofed.
And then she gets them murdered.
All right, our final storyline tonight is Deceiving Dee Dee. On Wednesday, Dee Dee is still super excited about Mauritius for honeymoon, and she's burning Ed's ear about it when a notification comes through on Joel's iPad looking for him to rate his latest visit to Belfast Airport. That's weird, says Dee Dee. Later, when Joel gets home, Dee Dee is in cleaning mode, which surprises him. So she quickly asks him when he went to Belfast, and he says that he didn't. And then when she
Which is not a lie.
when she produces his iPad evidence, he pretends that it was a cancelled business trip that he forgot to tell her about. He's forgetting to tell her about lots and lots of things here.
Yes.
Dee Dee pretends that this excuse is perfectly valid, but starts fidgeting with her ring.
Yes. Yes, she does. But not like that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
In the pub later, she tells Ed about Joel's story and isn't sure if it's believable. Ed asks if she trusts Joel 100%. She says she does,
What?
despite all the evidence to the contrary.
Seriously.
So this starts to pick up on Friday. Joel has good news. His divorce has been finalised.
Woohoo!
Dee Dee thinks that they can now focus on the wedding, which I'm sure they were focusing on anyway. She wants to make Maeve a flower girl, but not a big flower girl, apparently. Whatever that means. Joel is uncertain about getting in touch with Emily, who he says he's only been able to reach through solicitors, and clears his throat a lot. He quickly leaves, but forgets to take his man bag, the silly Billy. I thought, oh, what a silly Billy. He's forgotten to take his man bag with him.
Yes. Even though she shouts to him immediately as he's shutting the door, "Oh, your bag."
Silly Billy.
Such a silly Billy. But not as silly, not as
Billy.
silly a Billy as Billy is silly.
Later in the bistro, Dee Dee has managed to track down Emily and arrange a meeting. That was easy. Dee Dee pitches the flower girl idea, but is quick to say not a full flower girl. But now Emily looks like her anus has prolapsed explosively. Dee Dee ignores this and shows Emily a charm that she's bought for Maeve's bracelet. Emily's like, what bracelet? Maeve doesn't have a charm bracelet. And Joel has never bought her one, despite what Dee Dee says. I don't remember this charm bracelet.
It's Lauren's necklace.
Oh, was that
Remember,
the 300?
that
No, that
was
was
the thing.
cufflinks.
It was a bracelet.
He said he bought £300 cufflinks.
No, he said it was.
No, he did.
But then he said it was a bracelet. But then he says it was actually a bracelet for his daughter when he confesses that he has a daughter.
Oh, okay.
Because he cannot produce these cufflinks that he supposedly bought for himself.
She tells Dee Dee to be careful and tells her that he's still running his old flat. Dee Dee tries to justify it, but can't, and Emily leaves without saying more.
Yes, except to, essentially tell her to run as fast as she can away from this man.
Yeah.
That she couldn't say it before the divorce, but now that they're divorced, she can tell her flat out, get the hell away from this guy. He's bad news.
Which Dee Dee's never going to listen to because it's just the scorned other woman, right? Back home, Dee Dee goes through the man bag that Joel left behind because he's such a silly Billy and finds the flat keys. So she goes round to his flat, finds it empty, the bins are empty, but then she discovers some DVDs and nail varnish in a wee cubby. Caught ya prick. Meanwhile, Mason and Betsy meet up in the precinct. She's still bruised from last week's run-in with Joel round her wrists. She doesn't tell Mason this, obviously, but Mason quickly works it out that it was the man that she's scamming is responsible for it. He doesn't think that she can let him get away with it and suggests grassing him up to DS Swain.
Swain.
So Betsy goes to the cop shop to do that, and this leads to Swain calling Joel in at the police station to find out why he's been messaging her daughter. He denies that it's his number. Well, that doesn't prove anything, says Swain. That could be another phone. And Joel suddenly feels that he's been interrogated here and wants the interview recorded. Swain ignores him and works on him from his kid angle.
Yeah. Do you have kids? I do.
He says he wants to go. She says that she knows Betsy isn't lying and asks him why he assaulted her. So he spins the story of Betsy's infatuation with him and reckons that he's not the first. Am I right? This seems to touch a nerve, and she starts to believe Joel, or makes it look that way. When Joel gets home, he's dropped off by Swain, and Dee Dee looks from her window and sees this happen. And when Joel comes into the flat, Dee Dee wants to know what Swain wanted with him. He says that he was with a client and Swain just dropped him off. Dee Dee can't decide if he's lying or if he's ever told her the truth. She presents him with the nail varnish from the flat. What's this then? And what's the score with Maeve's bracelet? He apologises and admits to lying. He says he's been illegally subletting the flat. Dee Dee doesn't believe it until he says that the last person he told about it was Emily, and she's taking him to the cleaners. This is typical fucking Emily, who must have sold Maeve's bracelet, and that's why she doesn't have it anymore. Emily has left him traumatised, and he didn't want her to take Dee Dee from him too. Dee Dee leaves him to it. Back at the cop shop, Swain's doing some digging on the police computer about Joel and discovers that he was the brief that represented racist Kelly, and this seems to interest her greatly.
Yes.
She's onto something here.
She is. Swain.
Dee Dee gets back to the flat and apologises for leaving. She tells Joel that she needs him to be honest, and he agrees. No more secrets from now on. Again. She asks where he got the bracelet from because she wants to go and get a replacement. He's dodgy as fuck about this, and she pretends that, look, it doesn't really matter. He leaves to get a takeaway, and we see that Dee Dee's smile fades as he leaves. She doesn't trust Joel at all anymore.
No.
And that's how we end this week's episode.
And it's so stupid because he could have just named any jewelry store and it would have been fine and it would have worked.
Yeah, he's so cagey about everything that he gets asked.
Yeah.
And she chooses not to see this, which is
I
really
think she
weird.
sees it now.
I think she sees it now, but she's always been presented as being the smart Bailey, or the Bailey with her head on properly.
Right.
She's the one who points out the flaws in other people's logic and
Right.
stuff, and seems to be kind of trusting that. They forgot about her ditziness. Remember, she was ditzy when she started. Well, now she's not ditzy, and she's got this kind of sense of, I don't know, being able to judge a situation properly. And that just goes completely out the window when it comes to Joel and his skeeviness.
Right.
He's dodgy as fuck every time he says anything that's completely like he's been caught on the hook or whatever, which happens all the time. And see, I would think that maybe it's because she doesn't want to see the truth. But I don't think that's the case, because she's told him a number of times, if you're a liar, I want nothing to do with you.
Right.
And she's been very forceful about it. So to have that...
And she has broken up with him before.
She's had this forcefulness about it that suddenly becomes very passive now. And I don't like it. And it's annoying.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that she's finally seen something that she's at least investigating.
But also, let's remember, everybody seems to not have any sort of suspicion about Joel. The only person who sort of had some suspicion of Joel was Bethany.
Bethany, yeah.
But then Bethany starts telling him things that she shouldn't really be telling him if she's suspicious of him.
Oh,
You know, and Swain was telling him stuff, and she should have been more suspicious of him before the whole Betsy stuff to begin with.
I always wondered if Swain was giving him enough rope to hang himself with. And maybe she wasn't, but that's kind of the effect that it's had, is that she now is completely suspicious of him, looking him up on the computer. I don't know what it is that this tells her, other than there is a connection between him and Racist Kelly.
Right.
But what does that mean? Did he deny that this was a thing?
I don't know.
She's got her teeth into something anyway.
Yeah.
And she
She's
looked
putting
like...
things together.
When he said that this wouldn't be the first time that Betsy's done this with a guy, that did look like it stung her. And then by her reaction, we're left to think that he's convinced her otherwise.
Right. I did like her whole thing about, look, my kid lies. My kid lies to me all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But I know when she's lying and I know when she's not.
Yeah.
You know, as all parents do. And it's interesting. It does feel like she has touched a nerve with him as well. You know, and the whole asking, do you have any kids?
Mm-hmm.
And do they live with you? You know.
Yeah, that made him very squirmy in his seat.
Yes.
He was right that if she was accusing him of something, that it really should have been a bit more formal than that. I was glad that the lawyer in him was sensible enough to point that out, because nothing that they've said is really anything that can be used.
Right.
Because nothing's been recorded and stuff.
Right. And they both know that. And he doesn't fully explain those bruises either.
No, I don't think he... Does he try to explain them? I don't think he explains them at all, does he?
I think he said something about how, you know, he had to grab her arms when she got mad that he wouldn't give her money anymore or something. The fact that he admits that he's given her money, I thought was very
dodgy as
ballsy.
fuck. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one thing saying that this girl's infatuated by you, but if you know that this girl's infatuated by you, then giving her money's not exactly going to throw her off the scent at all.
Yeah.
That was very bizarre.
Yeah.
But there he was. He's been questioned by the police unofficially of this. This is...
Yeah.
That again, this feels like we're not really messing about with this anymore.
We're getting there.
Yeah, we're kind of ploughing forward and getting closer to a resolution. And
Yes.
when were they due to get married? It was September. It's next month that they're due
Yeah.
to get married.
Yeah.
You've got to think that that's the
Right.
DDD day.
Right. Has Bethany confronted Racist Kelly about using her credit card yet?
No.
You think now that she's back that maybe she would do that so that she doesn't have to pay it back or something.
Considering the head of steam that Bethany had built up.
Right, and got that camera stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we seem to have forgotten completely about that.
She's just happy to let
That's
it go
something
now.
for Wendy's list. Bethany's credit card.
I wonder if that is going to get mentioned again. I'll add it. That's our 20th item. Bethany doesn't care about... Because she's still on the hook for this. Doesn't
Exactly.
care about Racist Kelly's theft of her credit card. I'm still intrigued by Sinead's beard oil business that we mentioned a few weeks ago.
Right.
I would like that to be mentioned again sometime, please.
Yes. Maybe if Carla needs some extra money, she could say, oh, well, I've got the beard oil money.
Yeah, I've got this beard oil money that's fallen out. Well,
Yeah.
the factory might be fucked 7 ways to Sunday, but I've still got this beard oil money.
Right?
She's not making any beard oil.
No, she's not.
Poor Bertie's going to be in the poorhouse. I think it would have helped if Emily looked a bit more trustworthy. She looked a bit sly when she and Dee Dee met, I thought.
I didn't think so. I
And
think she was just...
why would she agree to meet Dee Dee anyway?
Well, maybe because, as she said, I'm divorced from him now, so I can tell you point blank, stay away from this guy.
It was just funny because Joel said that he hasn't talked to her in ages, doesn't really know where she is. He talks to her via solicitors, but Dee Dee was able to arrange a meeting in the bistro.
Right. And also, that's
with an hour's
obviously
notice.
that's obviously not true because he still gets visitation with Maeve. So they still have to be in contact to figure that out.
Oh, what a tangled web we weave, Helen.
Ugh.
This is all coming down in his head, and personally, I can't
I'm here
wait.
for it.
I did see there's a podcast type YouTube thing that is hosted by Adam Hussein, who is our Addy, along with a few of his friends.
Mm-hmm.
And it's called Going for a Take.
Uh-huh.
And they've interviewed Sydney Martin, who plays Betsy, and they've got Callum Lill in this week talking about the Trap movie, as it turns out.
It's hilarious.
And they're asking him about what research he did before playing Joel.
Mm-hmm.
And he's done quite a bit of reading. Are you familiar with John Ronson and his books?
Name sounds familiar.
He's got he's a really good kind of investigative journalist sort of guy, a kind of bit of a Louis Theroux, and he's got this psychopath test that he talks about, that if you answer yes to these questions, then officially, by government definitions, you're a psychopath. So it was really interesting to see the lengths that he's gone to try and play this correctly, and I think he's doing a good job of it.
Yeah.
Especially when he has his moments of losing the calm exterior. When the mask slips, I think he really sells it brilliantly. When he laughs, it's like, oh, I don't think that you're really laughing for humorous reasons there, pal. It's a good job that he's doing. All right, that was the week that was Coronation Street then. Tell me, Helen, what was your moment of the week?
Well, what would you pick?
I really liked the Nick and Rowan confrontation in the office. I thought that was excellent.
Yeah, that was really good. That's our moment of the week.
Yeah, because I think Rowan's, if we're talking about masks slipping,
Rowan's does a lot of slipping there. Yeah,
he became quite frantic and
yes, he did,
and threatening Nick, who could not be threatened. Well done, Nick, even though you were crying. That is our
moment of the week.
Moment of the week.
Your boring moment of the week.
Ken explaining Debussy to Cassie.
Anyone who's cares to listen, but particularly Cassie. Yeah, people think that classical music should make you feel calm. Yes, like Debussy is currently doing.
Like you're doing right now, yeah.
Yeah. Ken explaining stuff. That's our
boring moment of the week.
All right, so once again, I asked our Twitter followers to rate this episode, or this week's episodes, of Coronation Street. Let us know what the general public think. And once again, it is a resounding yay from our followers. Yay 57.3%, meh 30.1%, and zzz just 12.6%. I think that's maybe 7 weeks on the bounce. 6 weeks anyway, of very, very positive reviews. But Of course, we don't let that sway our opinion when we give our scores. So, Helen, let us know what your score out of 10 for this week's episodes is.
You know what? I'm going to give it a 7.
I think I'm also going to give it a 7.
No, I did not actively hate anything this week. Even the brief scene with Mason was fine.
I thought that was fine as well. Yeah.
Because he does the right thing and is concerned about Betsy and tells her she needs to go to her mom about this. So. And
then that's what happens.
Right. Yeah.
So Betsy's given good advice by Mason and acts on it.
Who knew?
And because of that, we get to the point where Swain's actually looking Joel up in the police computer.
Yes.
So yeah, that was a good week. I think 7 is a good result. All right, we will wrap this one up then. This episode was brought to you with thanks to our friends of the podcast: Daisy, French Helen, Pickles, DT, Trisha, Wendy, Noel, Canadian Helen, Christy, Shandy, English Victoria, Aurora Yvonne, Heather Westerfield, Russell Whiting, Jackie B and Brittany Porter. Thank you ever so much, folks. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
If you've ever forgotten that you've booked a flight to Belfast, write in to tell us about it. We're the talk of the street at gmail.com.
Happens to me all the time.
I know. And we're at Corrie Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Threads and Blue Sky. You can shout me and Helen a coffee or become a friend of the podcast by heading to ko-fi.com, that's ko-fi.com/the talk of the street, or patreon.com/the talk of the street. Check out voggle.co.uk for links to our merch store and YouTube channel and blog. And if you're so inclined, please leave a rating and a review on the iTunes or your podcast provider of choice. And be sure to check out our pop culture sister podcast, The List of Lists.
Woody Allen is gross and unfunny.
Thanks for making it to the end of another episode. And we will be back next week with more
The Talk of the Street.
The Talk of the Street.
Bye.
Cheerio.